So, Luke, we here at Make Music Alive bang on about the new music industry a lot, and I know we're all very excited about this new music industry. But what on earth is the new music industry?
I think it's an industry that is not ruled by people that are seeking their own self-interest first over the interest of artists, but it's one where the
When you say,
artists.
can I stop you there? When you say people, what do you mean by people? Everyone?
How did I? When did? Well, I guess what I meant was that instead of owners of businesses and investors and like the investors and the people behind the artists prioritizing what is best for them and what is best for the profits. It's an artist run, or it's a business, it's a industry run by artists that prioritizes the interests of the artists
And the interests of the people the artist is serving. That's an absolutely core part of the thing. It's not just, right, us artists are going to go and do this amazing thing. Everyone's going to love it, right? It's actually, it prioritize, like it's a win-win for the artists and the audiences of those artists. It's a direct relationship between those two parties. Because, and I don't think, I mean, the reason I picked you up on and asked you about the people point is that I think it's easy to personalize the problems in the music industry about being, is because of evil people doing evil things. And that's definitely not how I see it. It's almost like by accident, or the kind of dint of history, or the things that have happened have led to a situation in which art is being subsumed by a focus on craft, essentially. And craft is important. Craft supports art. You need a level of craft in order to create art. But when craft becomes the thing, so, that music is being subsumed by craft, for instance, when a lot of the music sounds exactly the same. It's just different versions of the same thing. And just to be clear, I am 100% guilty as charged as being one of the people who has been subsumed by that myself in the past. In fact, the whole of my last career was almost me doing that and then fighting against it and failing. And you can see it in many, many different kinds of music. This isn't just about pop or commercial music, although it's very, very present in a lot of commercial music. Again, not all, but a lot, the majority. And you can also see it in music training as well. And just because of the economics, the business models, the new streaming situation, all of that has meant that art is just being pushed to the sidelines because it's supported. Music is being supported, and music always has been supported by massive audiences, which is and I'm going to make up a terrible word right now, a vanillarizing force. It's like just making better versions of what we already know works, because that's what the incentive structure of the old music industry, the existing music industry, engenders. And up until literally now, like recently, there's not really been any option for somebody who wants to make art to make a living unless they're super lucky. Yeah. It's not being supported. There's not been any opportunity for it to be supported by anything other than massive marketing budgets, which again can be or tends to be a vanillarizing force. And now, with the tools that are available now, actually it is possible for a musician to attract the people who want what they have and only they have. In fact, that is how a musician will do it. You know, the new music industry won't work for craft. That's what's so exciting about it. Now, I just said that. I just made a massive statement. Why do I say that the new music industry, as we see it, and again, it's coming. The early shoots are there, but there's by no means a certainty that this is what will end up happening, right? But it is growing, and there are people who are doing it. But why do I say that the music industry won't work for people who are obsessed with just craft over art?
It'll become a commodity, and it'll be something you can get anywhere, and there won't be any real value in it because it will just be, one in a billion of the exact same thing. And so if you can get something anywhere for free, it essentially becomes valueless.
Exactly. Whereas art really is about, I don't want to get into a philosophical discussion because people go, no, that's not what art is. Here's the definition of art. But in general, art is about creating something new, right? That could be said. Yeah, creating or creating something that is unique, that is, that you can't get anywhere else. And there's not been a business model available for that since the dawn of the internet, or possibly even since the dawn of recorded music. But now, while the internet destroyed that gatekeepers part of it, where an enormous amount of investment was required in order to do something, there is now another opportunity, and that is for an artist to do what they do. And it's got to be really good, of course. That you can't just be unique and crap, because that's not going to work. So it's got to be really, really good to be unique, to be like an authentic expression of that artist, and with time, hard work, and doing the right things, probably in the wrong order, doing the right things, working hard for a long period of time is probably the right order. An artist can attract a small, relatively speaking, compared to, Spotify audiences of the top, 0.00001%, tiny audiences. But because that uniqueness is so valuable to that audience, actually, that audience will be willing to do more than just stream something 10 times on Spotify. But there are a couple of things that this new music industry relies upon in terms of the artist. So what does the artist need to be able to do if they are to join the new music industry, if they are to help build the new music industry, to be a part of it?
Well, they need to be creating a lot.
So
they need to be.
So that seems that you kind of laughed as if to say that's really obvious. They need to be creating a lot. That's not going to be obvious to a lot of people. So why do they need to be creating a lot? Why not just create a few really, really great things? Isn't that what art's about? Just creating a few masterworks, just maybe 2 or 3 or 10, or why do they need to be creating a lot?
Well, partly because you can't really get to something that's unique unless you do create an enormous amount. And you can just see that through looking at, the great artists throughout history. They tend to also be the people that created the most. Partially because the only way to get good enough is to create an enormous amount. And also because to get good enough to make something that's unique, that's good enough being unique, you have to create an enormous amount. So it's partially... there's the skill-based creation side of why you have to do that. And then there's also the fact that to maintain the attention of an audience and build your audience, you want to be creating consistently, because in this new music industry, you're competing with stuff that you're competing with so much for people's attention. To maintain somebody's attention, you need to be able to consistently give them something to attend to have their attention on. And I mean, it is like to get somebody's attention and maintain it, you need to give them enough stuff. And in the old music industry, it was kind of like you could give somebody an album once a year, but in the new music industry, it'll be more like, you give somebody something every day, every week, something consistent.
But
Give them something that's
Luke,
unique.
if you're giving people, I mean, if you're having to release that amount of music, like how do you keep the quality up?
Well, you don't necessarily just have to release music. There's more that musicians can do now, because if you look at any famous musician, or any popular musician, there was more to it. Well, maybe not any, but there's more to fanhood than just music. But I don't want to say that doesn't mean you don't need to release a lot of music. But there's more to it, where people connect with people, and people connect with personality, and people connect with more than just a sound. They also connect with the experience you're giving them. And that experience doesn't just have to be music. It can also be who you are and what you stand for.
So absolutely. But one thing to bear in mind, though, so that doesn't necessarily mean, because the next thing to say to that is, yeah, but what about the mystery? I've heard that a lot. So yeah, go on. I'll let you. Yeah, but what about the mystery? Like, I don't want to share. I mean, I'm good with it, obviously, but a lot of people they don't want to share themselves on the screen. They want the art to speak for itself. So what about that?
Well, it's like people watch reality shows where someone's life is exposed for 24 hours every single day, and I don't know what's going to happen to that person tomorrow. And I could watch every single hour of every single day, and you could tell me every single one of your thoughts. And no matter what, it's still an open loop, and your story's not over, right? Because your destiny is constantly unfolding. And like any TV show, it doesn't matter how much information I give you about the person. Even if I know everything you've done today and everything you've thought today and everything that you are considering right now, I still don't know what's going to happen to you tomorrow. So there's that angle, which I hadn't actually considered before.
So can you relate that to the but I don't want to share.
Yeah. So it's like if you're an artist and you don't want to share because you think it takes away the mystery. Well, there's two things to hit here. There's arguing that it's better to have a mystery. And I'm saying that even if you're as open as you physically could possibly be, there's always a mystery, because I don't know what's going to happen to you next.
Okay, cool. So great. So
does that make sense?
Yeah, we've landed that. Right. Okay. So what's the other side? What's the other thing you were going to say?
Well, then some people would say, like, I don't want to share myself, because I want to, keep private.
Look at Aphex Twin or Daft Punk or these kinds of artists. Like there's this kind of mysterious element to it. So and Burial is another great example. So there is a lot to be said for that. So if we assume that I mean, does that mean that these type of artists can't join the new music industry?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so how would it work for them?
It's a good question.
That's why I asked.
I mean, oh yeah. I mean, well, the thing is even with them, they are, they created intrigue and interest, and by the way that they release their things, by their imaging, their branding, it felt like there was a lot there.
Well,
and
You go on,
and they
sorry.
created suspense, and they created a wanting to know. And anytime you can, create suspense and get someone's attention, you don't necessarily have to reveal your personal life.
Exactly.
You just
So the stuff that isn't music doesn't have to be you talking about what you had for breakfast. It doesn't have to be you coaching someone. It doesn't have to be you showing people your process. It doesn't have to be any of that. Look at the Daft Punk video when they split up. Just look at that video and tell me that that is not, I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that we're talking about. That is a wonderful example of maintaining the mystery, the wonder, the thing, and it not being about music. In fact, I don't think there is any music in that video. There might be at the end. I can't remember. But anyway, but it's mainly silence.
And you always, well, I haven't actually seen it.
And then, all right, you got to see. It's like there's some kind of story going on, and you wonder what it was that they split up about, and everything, because there's this whole looking back thing. It's really, yeah. But this is the thing, is that the mystery itself is part of the experience. So to say, but this is just destroying the mystery, I just want the music to speak for itself, you're actually, the fact that there is a mystery is not the music. That's part of the experience. So if you choose to take that path, then it just means a different kind of thing that isn't the music that you're creating. Content, the branding, as everyone likes to say, the what you actually do would just be different than, for instance, what I do, because I'm comfortable to, and in fact, I want to help other people to do, in a different way. I'm not saying that, Aphex Twin and Daft Punk and Burial don't help people. Of course they do. But I just want to help people in a more obvious way. So we've come to the point where there is a new music industry that is forming, which is focused, which is going to be, or has an opportunity to be focused on the art and not get subsumed, sucked into the craft. Yeah, where the craft serves the art. Of course, Aphex Twin, Burial, Daft Punk, they were great at their craft. But in order to create art, yeah, not to eclipse the art, which is what so much music is about now. And of course, they could do that because they were supported by labels, etc., etc., etc. Now, that is becoming more and more difficult because of the economics of streaming and all of that kind of stuff. And of course, with the recent crisis with live music just going down the toilet, well, that removes a whole other thing. Musicians are in all kinds of pain still now. In fact, some of them probably are no longer musicians. Or, I mean, they still are, but they're probably not doing much music because they have to earn money somewhere, which is an absolute tragedy. But this is accelerating this opportunity, which is for artists to connect with their, with the, I don't like the word fans, but connect with the people who will get value from their unique thing. A direct relationship where there aren't middle people, or there are less middle people. Yeah, there is you, there is the tool through which you reach the fan, or the tools through which you reach the fan, and then there is the fan, the audience, the people who the artist is serving.
Yeah, I think it's that the middle people have less power, less influence.
Yeah, and there's less of them. I mean, there's just less of them that are required. What this does require, though, is a lot of music and a lot of experimentation, a lot of innovation, both in the music and in how you're actually interacting with the people. It's, again, art in itself. Right? If you're going to a YouTube video that says, here's how to get 10,000 plays on Spotify, again, that's another example of non-innovative thinking, non-artistic thinking, non-creative
Right.
thinking. I mean, give me the thing that I can reproduce. Again, it's focusing on the craft. Yeah, there is an art to both making art and making a business which is about art. And that is what I'm so excited about with this new music industry, that us and many others, not enough yet, but many others are creating. So I think that's it for today. Thank you, Luke, for helping. Well, we've been thinking this through, trying to make it clear what on earth we're talking about. Love to hear what you've got to say about this, and maybe where our errors in thinking and our blind spots are, because there's going to be some. So with that said, onwards and upwards. We've got to get busy.